Today is day 4, and I'm going to be changing one thing up. So uh, I will be generating the 3 words for today right now, like I have before. And today's 3 words will be, clear the old words, inherit, tooth, pink. I can work with that, I think. And then for tomorrow's words, I'm actually going to generate at the end of this video, so that anybody that wants to also participate in it will have the ability to write their own stories to the same writing prompts, as well as it'll give me a little bit more time to think about the ideas ahead of time before I write the story. I don't know whether that'll be a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm going to try this for a couple of days. So this will be tonight's, and then afterwards we'll generate tomorrow's. Scanners buzzed around, recording the intricate measurements of 15-year-old Ellie Renauld. Her soft brown dress twirled as she twisted back and forth, following the lights of the scanner in awe. "Please remain still," a robotic voice reiterated for the 3rd time. Ellie froze in place and apologized, then almost immediately began to turn her head ever so slightly. It was all very exciting. Never had she thought so many people would take so much interest in helping her. Now she had the full backing of the Humanity First Society, and they would do everything they could to help her find justice. Scan complete. The metal arms of the scanners retracted into the wall, and Ellie spun in her place and made for the door. Just in the hall, Miss Adams was looking at a monitor on which already there was a model likeness of Ellie. "We need to pretty her up for the court, but maintain a fragile child feel. Something that makes the people think, that could be my child." Miss Adams was clinical and certain with her words, and as she spoke, the AI adapted the image to meet her every refined demand. Ellie watched with amazement as the businesswoman worked. "Not a blue dress. Are you fucking with me right now? She'll look like cotton candy when she grins." As Miss Adams said the words, the dress turned green and fluffed out. "Better, but ditch the pigtails. It's too obvious." Ellie wandered away down the hall. Cotton candy was one of the first nicknames at school. After having been Alice in Wonderland for a play and smiling wide, the pink tone of her teeth would always be the cause of her pain. She knew Miss Adams meant no offense by the matter. She was just doing her job. Still, she wanted to get out of earshot before hearing more of the detail. Before Ellie's parents really considered having a child, her parents had opted into a procedure that fundamentally altered them on a genetic level. They had long since removed their teeth and replaced them with pink ones, but they wanted to entangle the idea into their very being, make the alteration symbolic of their heritage. So Ellie was born with the unique genetic alteration of having pink teeth. At the end of the hall she entered an area she assumed was a waiting room. It was empty, but a dozen chairs filled the space, occasionally separated by tables littered with magazines. Atop the stack was a picture of herself, with the headline, "Transhuman Child Sues Parents Over Alterations." She had become one of the biggest news stories overnight. When accompanied by the presence of Miss Adams, she felt like a celebrity. She could stand tall and proud that she was standing for something. But alone, here in the empty, dark waiting room, she was scared. Scared of courts and the media and the size of it all. Mostly, she was afraid she would have to return to her parents. How could they do this to her and claim to love her? She picked up a magazine with her face on it, but she did not read it. She just sat in the corner of the room and silently cried. It was some time later that Miss Adams came looking for Ellie. Ellie was careful to hide the fact that she had been crying. She didn't want Miss Adams to think that she was weak. Elizabeth, come with me, Miss Adams ordered. In private, she insisted on calling Ellie by her full name. It is a grown-up name for a grown-up girl, she had explained. But in the public, she consistently used Ellie. Perception is everything. You will learn that quick. Ellie was fascinated by how Miss Adams dominated every room they entered. 3 days had gone by in a flash, and the media roar about the case had only escalated. Ellie spent her days in and out of meetings with different lawyers and professionals, all of whom wanted to help her win justice from her parents. Elizabeth, I need you to remember to stay focused. It is okay to be emotional, just don't be angry, and don't freeze up, Miss Adams explained while walking at a brisk pace down the hall. Ellie needed to perform periodic jogging spurts to keep up with the pace. Before she could reply, they were out the front door of the hotel. The door was flooded with people. The path before us was divided by barricades, and on either side were people supported and opposed to the proceedings. To Ellie, they were all there for her. At the front were the media, in the same place they had been every day for the past week. Miss Adams stopped at the head of the stairs and addressed the crowd and the questions. Today is going to be an historic day for all those interested in human rights. Miss Adams emphasized the word human. And for poor Ellie, it will be a day of justice. There was a flurry of questions from the media, but to Ellie it was mostly noise. She could not shake her amazement that so many people had come out for her. Why should any of these people care one way or the other? Yes, we are confident that the judge will make the sensible call, Miss Adams repeated and began to close up the inquiry. Now we must be leaving. Ellie, do you hate your parents? One of the reporters asked directly. No one is talking about hate here, Adams began an elegant reply, but Ellie's response was simpler and to the point. Yes. There was no hesitation in her voice, no uncertainty. But they are your parents. Surely you must love them, the reporter retorted. That is all for now, Miss Adams reiterated and hurried Ellie along to the SDC that awaited them. Once inside and securely seated, the vehicle started on its route to the courthouse. I can appreciate the direct approach with the reporter, Elizabeth, Miss Adams began, but you have to learn subtlety. I only gave them the truth, Ellie retorted, frustration apparent in her voice. Why would someone typically as direct and intentional as Miss Adams skirt the facts? Miss Adams folded her hands in her lap, took a deep breath, and gazed out the window at the crowds of people they drove past. All these people, each one of them, is out here for themselves, Miss Adams explained. They don't care about you or your justice. It is what you represent that stirs them. That is why subtlety matters, Elizabeth. This court case will send a message, one way or another. However this judge rules, the fate of humanity may very well rest on the outcome. It is a battle of ideals between the transhumans and the true humans. The cold reality of Miss Adams' statement hit Ellie like a ton of bricks. You do not consider me human? Not really, no. Miss Adams' response was matter-of-fact. It isn't your fault, of course. What your parents did to you is unforgivable. Ellie felt nauseous. The inside of the SDC began to spin. Everything they had done, everything she had thought had been to help her, was an effort to push an anti-transhumanist agenda. See, this is why subtlety matters. Miss Adams had clearly read the turmoil on Ellie's expression. You could have continued blissfully ignorant of your role in the greater scheme of things, but I was too blunt. Try not to fuck this up just because you know the truth, okay? Okay, so that concludes day 4's story. I think that went rather well. The topic that I'm interested in exploring more, so I'll probably come back to that piece. Now let's generate the 3 words for tomorrow so that we have time to think about them and build the story, and you can participate if you are so inclined. Impulse, icy, sleep. That will be interesting. If you feel like participating, then when I post the video tomorrow night, go ahead and leave links to your stories in the comments, and we'll try to share feedback.